Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Talk It Out podcast. I'm Alec Lifshos, aka Trey Busy. This is the first time we've done a live podcast since October of last year. It's been a while. I might be a little rusty, so you guys are going to have some patience with me. Since then, a lot has changed. The platform has grown. There's 3 new entities to it, so the podcast is not by itself no more. It's now a whole platform. Part of those entities, I do have meditation on Sundays at 5 p.m. in this chat room with James Campbell. He leads them every Sunday. Also, we have a new podcast that's on the platform called Addictions. Addictions is ran by Bonnie Laporta. She's a certified addiction counselor. That's my mother. And the person that we have as my guest tonight is also a part of the platform as well. She's a certified professional spiritual life coach, a certified energy leadership master practitioner, and now a published author of the book, At the End of the Day, It's Me Overcoming the Addiction to Toxic Relationships. Now, before I introduce her name, as I am going to do, she also co-manages the Let's Talk It Out book club, which is now on Facebook, and people that want to be involved with the Let's Talk It Out book club, they can reach out directly to me or to my guest tonight, Celicia Shan.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you, Alec, for such a wonderful introduction. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about today, and I'm excited to dive a little bit more into my book if you guys have any questions.
Well, first of all, thank you for agreeing to be the, I guess, the to break the ice for the 2020 live episodes of the Let's Talk It Out platform. I mean, again, it's been a while. I might be a little rusty, but Celicia, I would like for you to tell people a little bit more about yourself. I mean, I told them some things about you, but let them know what I haven't let them know.
Okay, well, I'm just a regular person like everyone else, and I just fell in love with self-love and the healing process. And I didn't know that it was going to change my entire life when I kickstarted in the beginning. And then on top of that, I didn't know that it was going to become a lifestyle. And through that, I've just started to develop a positive relationship with my obstacles. So instead of thinking that this is here to defeat me, why is this happening to me, putting myself in this victim blame mode, I started to look at what is this doing to help me? What is this doing to teach me? How can this expand me? Which led to my company continued expansion, because it was like, wow, I realized one day, like, life is about continued expansion. And if we view ourselves as the experiencer of life, then we're able to understand that the whole experience is about our growth, our mental, physical, spiritual growth, and how to move forward with that. And I didn't know that self-love was going to kickstart my entire spiritual journey.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. My mom just got in the chat room. Hi, Mom. XOXO Vibes. Before we get going with the actual interview, I'm going to feed you a question from the chat room because I haven't done that in months. A question from the chat room. She says, self-love and feel good in general is such a lifestyle. When you get a chance, can we talk about empath/narcissist relationships? Have you ever been in one?
If you know me, people probably think that my favorite word is narcissist. I'm not even going to lie, because I'm starting to realize that it is definitely an epidemic. In my book, I talk about the 4 different types of relationships that I've been in, and I feel as though every woman or man can identify with dating at least one of these different types. And one of the types is the narcissist. Narcissists, as if a lot of people don't know, narcissists are it's a personality disorder where you can't self-reflect and you subconsciously go about receiving love through manipulating other people. And it lies on a spectrum, and I'm no therapist to get that out there. If I do consider myself a ghetto therapist because I love mental health and everything, that I love psychological work and readings, but I didn't go to school for it and I didn't spend any money on it. But this is what I absorb myself in. So I do know a lot or a little bit about, a lot of the personality disorders and mental health disorders when it comes to individuals. But I am no therapist. So let's just put that as a disclaimer. I'm a life coach. But narcissism lies on a spectrum, and they say that every one of us have narcissistic tendencies, and it's healthy because you want to be able to love yourself, right? And narcissist, it comes from a Greek. I don't know. I don't think he was a god, but this Greek person named Narcissus who used to love looking at his image in the water. And they're literally textbook though, but it lies on a spectrum. You can be a healthy narcissist where you just have confidence and a lot of self love. And then you can be an unhealthy narcissist where you're manipulating, gaslighting, and basically tearing down other people for your enjoyment. And the question is interesting that she said talk about empath and narcissist relationships, because most empaths are a match to narcissists. And people be like, okay, why is that? Because empaths are okay, so narcissists and empaths are created out of the same type of situations, which a lot of people don't know. So have a little bit of heart towards the narcissist because they come from the same place that an empath do. That's why they're a match. And that is a place of scarcity love. So empaths like to give out a lot of love in order to feel loved. Narcissists like to receive a lot of love, but they go about it in manipulative ways because they don't feel like they can get it by just being themselves because of whatever they've been through that tore them down, that make them feel as if they're unworthy. And so empaths and narcissists become a match because empaths feel love by giving, narcissists feel love by receiving. And a lot of times it becomes toxic because, of course, the narcissist is abusing the empath's ability to just want to love and be love. And then the empath is not receiving the same love back. So they're both dysfunctional. And if you do consider yourself as an empath, and if you are a match to a narcissist, you have to realize that you don't have your self-love needs to increase and your boundaries need to increase. So it's not necessarily bad to be an empath. An empath is just, oh, let me get into what an empath is. An empath is someone who pick up on energies and who are highly sensitive beings that pick up on energies around them. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your energy. It could be someone else. Like if you're around someone and they're crying and they're sad, you might be able to empathize with them and feel their pain. But a lot of empaths, if you're unevolved and you haven't developed boundaries around your self-love, around your love, and around, you loving other people, then you'll become a match to narcissists.
Well, there you have it. XOXO vibes. I hope that answers your question. It's a lot of people jumping into the chat room. I was trying to greet them in there. My auntie jumped in. Everybody, they saying greeting. It seems like everybody's really happy to be back. It's been a while. It's been a
Yeah.
while. So I guess I'll jump into my questions now, if that's
Okay.
okay with everybody. This is an
Did that
interview.
answer her question?
That answered her question perfectly. Everybody was very satisfied with your answer in the chat room.
Okay.
So again, your book, at the end of the day, it's me overcoming the addiction to toxic relationships. It's available on Amazon, everybody. If you want to find the link, you can find it on the Facebook page for Let's Talk It Out, or on my page, or on Celicia's page as well. Now, her book, we're going to talk about this phrase, well, this combo of words, toxic relationship. A lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
the word toxic seemed like it's been a little bit more, last few years, it's been getting thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
It seemed like everybody, oh, you're being toxic, or that's toxic for you. Can you give us, what exactly is a toxic relationship? Like, I want you to explain it to us like we're 5 years old.
Okay. So a toxic relationship is one where your emotional needs aren't met. So if I'm in a relationship at 5 years old, I got my little boyfriend, and I have I'm coloring with my crayons, and he takes my
CC,
crayons.
CC.
I know what. I'm just giving. I'm painting a
If my
picture,
if
like
my
a
if
5
my
year old
daughter
example.
if my daughter had a boyfriend at 5 years old, it'd be a problem.
Oh, it's gonna be some problems because these 3 year olds go to daycare. They come home, they're like, "Mom, I got a
Oh
boyfriend."
shit!
So,
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
but like example, say like, and I'm giving a very very simple, of course, example. But say I'm coloring with my crayon, and he takes the crayon and breaks it, and I'm like hurt by it, right? And if he is like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that," that's healthy. Even though the action and what he did in her mind was wrong, he was able to tend to her emotional needs in that moment, and give her what she needed in that moment. Now, toxic relationships is when you have these emotional needs, the person is constantly doing you wrong, but yet they're not coming forth with their time, emotions, and efforts to meet those needs and reconcile that situation. So it's toxic relationship usually is a cycle of unmet needs, that's of pain, and it's a lot of things that happen in toxic relationships. There is no respect. There is abuse. There's abuse on physical, mental, emotional, spiritual levels, not just physical abuse. Because a lot of time when we say abuse, people just think it's physical, when most of the abuse is the emotional abuse, and that's extremely damaging as well. But when we have toxic relationships, are when these obstacles are coming up, or when you're put in these situations where one person or the other person is feeling pain, and the needs aren't being met. So instead of the relationship being a fueling relationship, where when you do have an obstacle, you work together as a couple to get past it, and now you're building, it becomes a draining relationship. And so, as Alex stated, I'm an energy leadership index master practitioner, which means that I understand our words, and our every single word that we use and say carries a certain energy behind it, but it's also a measurement of your energetic response to stress. So how you react when you are in stressful situations. So the number ranges from 1 to 7. Number 1 would be when you're the victim. So this person did this to me. Number 2 is when you are fighting back. So when your fight, flight, or freeze responses are kicked in, that cortisol is rushing out of you. Number 3 is when you kind of rationalize, like, okay, when you're rationalizing. So, okay, as long as I'm good and they're good, then we're okay. And level 4 is when you want to help. Level 5 is when you look for the opportunity. And level 6 is when you use the opportunity and you become real intuitive with it. And then level 7 is like the meditative state. So toxic relationships usually lie and reside in level 1 and level 2. So victim mode, and fight. They don't really get past those different energy levels. So what happens is that you're actually in a situation that's constantly draining you, and you're not building. And so eventually you become depleted, lose your mind, all types of things.
Just JT 1991. He hopped in right on time. He said, "Yes, please explain what toxic is," because a lot of people on social media seem like they don't know what it is. They don't. They just throw that word around. And
You know why? I'm sorry, go ahead.
and I was gonna say, I mean, obviously, Celicia is very knowledgeable about it because she broke it down and explained it to us like we were 5 years old, like I wanted her to.
Yeah, and then also, toxicity is normalized a lot because we see our celebrities in toxic relationships, and when and they're supposed to be the role models for a lot of people, a lot of
Please don't get me
teenagers.
started, man. Please don't.
Right. So we see the celebrities, they normalize it. A lot of times it's normalized in our families. It's what we've seen because if you have been in a empath narcissist relationship, then 9 times out of 10 you have a lot of empaths and narcissists in your family, in your friendships, that like you were raised around those type of people, because a lot of a lot of the reason why narcissists feel so good to the empath is because it's a familiar feeling that they've already had from maybe a parent or their caretakers.
I just want to say that when Celicia talks, I just get quiet. I just want to sit here and listen because I don't even know what to say. I just want to listen. I feel like a kid with I need to get a notebook out. Um, S. Hopkins says, I guess right now I'm trying to see how do you get out of a toxic relationship. I think it's easier said than done sometimes. Well, I'm about to. I mean, her book. We're gonna dive. I got another question, and it has something else to do with the title as well. We're gonna come back to what you said, but um, the word addiction is a very powerful word.
Mm-hmm.
It's so powerful that decided to take the word and make it into its own podcast for this platform, right? Bonnie Laporta teaches it every Monday. There'll be an episode out for that. But I want to ask you, from your perspective, Celicia, can you define what the word addiction means to you?
Addiction to me is a cycle. It's a habit. It's a habit. It's a detrimental habit that you've taken in as a lifestyle. So, if you know that dating this type of person is always going to, not even dating this type of person, if you know that you constantly are breaking up and getting back with the same person, constantly breaking up, getting back with the same person, now it's a habit, now it's a lifestyle. Your girlfriends or your homies is like, yeah, whatever, y'all broke up, but y'all gonna be back. Y'all gonna be back. And it's the same lifestyle, same habit, then, and you know that it's not good for you, but you just feel as if you're trapped, you have lost control, and that's the only thing that you know to do, then now it's an addiction.
Well, there you have it. Also, XOXO5 says addiction to me is attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Just JT 1991 says being toxic shouldn't even be normalized. That is just flat out weird to me. People want to claim they toxic until they find out they toxic for real, for real. I just wanted to say something, because you brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
These fucking celebrities, man. I'm telling you. Like, first of all, if you are an adult, I tell adult to me is someone who's able to go buy alcohol. If you are an
Mm-hmm.
adult, you should not be looking up to other adults. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you could have things about their life that you like. Okay, so say you could strive towards an author. I want to be a great author, something like that. But looking up to someone's personality traits,
Mm-hmm.
you guys watch these, and you're an energy coach. You understand this.
Mm-hmm.
You watch these negative shows, these negative like Bad Girls Club and Real Housewives and all this arguing and fighting and pouring liquor on top of each other and stuff like that. What are you
Mm-hmm.
getting from that? Why are you putting that in your system?
Right.
Spiritually, what are you getting from seeing this? Like, it's not doing nothing but feeding and sowing these eggs of negative energy inside you by seeing this. I don't even watch the shows. I hate it. People say it's entertaining. What the hell is so entertaining
Yeah.
about seeing people project on each other?
A lot of times people say, oh, it's entertaining and I know better, I just watch it for the laughs, because it just helps me relax, and I don't a lot of people don't like to be all deep all the time, right? But you have to realize that everything is energy. Everything is energy. And if you're surrounding yourself with the energy that it's like a math equation. Like, the energy that you surround yourself with is going to be the outcome of your overall energy. Which is why, for example, many people who are feeling down, right? A lot of times people recommend go and walk in nature. Why is that? Because the energy with being around trees, the oxygen that they give off, plants, the life, it's high vibrational. It has high energy. So when you mix your low energy and you go in a space where it's high energy, you'll naturally be boosted and lifted up. Because, say, if you're at a 1 and being around the trees is a 10, 1 and 2, you know what I'm saying? 10 and 1 is 11, divided by 2 is going to be higher than 1. So your average resting energy level is going to be higher just by being in a high vibrational setting. So now, if you're sitting and you're watching low vibrational television and they're showing you these things, you're taking that into your spirit and into your energy. So you're also becoming a match to those situations. And so, no wonder why a lot of people that watch those things, it's like, I know, for instance, if there was a conversation with somebody in my family that I knew back in the days, a long time ago, where they were people who dwelled in watching those reality TV shows or whatever. And it was a conversation that was a difficult conversation that needed to be had. And it was handled just like how they handle it on those televisions, on those, you know what I'm saying? Those, what do you call them?
Those TV shows,
Yeah, reality shows. It was
reality TV
handled just
shows.
like it was a reality show. And I'm like, hey, this is like real life, right? And it was just kind of like, sometimes people will look at those situations and think that it has no effect on them, but your energy and what you feed your spirit is everything. So if you are trying to move out of toxicity, you can't surround yourself with toxicity. You have to surround yourself with the things that you are looking to be and looking to do. And I said this before, and I used it. I used it as an example when I was walking on the path of self love. I only wanted to surround myself with things that represent self love. So I stopped. It made me stop listening to certain music because I'm like, okay, I'm telling myself that I'm a queen. I'm telling myself that I'm worthy. But then I turn on Future, and Future is saying all of this and that. It's calling me a bitch and hoe and all of that. Okay, how am I? Okay, the beat might be good, but guess what? When you're in those states, when you're laughing and when you're happy, and then you're receiving low vibrational energy, it makes it much easier to manifest into your life because there is no resistance.
Thank you,
Black.
Celicia, for I was talking in the chat room. I was telling people like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what, and my response was, I said, please don't get me started on people that worship celebrities. I said, matter of fact, hold on, I'm about to get Celicia going on that, and that you went exactly like how I wanted you to go. It's almost like I love when a plan comes together. So everybody's saying, you're preaching, and I really appreciate your word. Brittany says, Alec, you're coming from a reality TV. I just want you guys to have positive energy around you guys, man, and just watching things like that, putting it in your spirit is not positive at all. As
Mm-hmm.
Hopkins says, I definitely believe in positive and negative energy. You get the same from people you surround yourself with. XOXO5 said, go ahead, Celicia, talk that talk. Get Out of Your Own Way. Great book, by the way, y'all. Great energy lifter. B. Lift Show says, society has normalized dysfunction and toxicity as a new norm. It sounds like it's a huge identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to have a part two because we're not going to go into that because that's going to take up way too much time. We'll have a part two on that because I asked you two of my questions that I want to ask you. Um,
Okay.
she says garbage in and garbage out. Yeah, I don't even
Yep.
let's not get going on that. So, self realization is a powerful moment in your life. Like when you get this epiphany of something that you're going on that's going wrong and something that needs to change. So I want to ask you, Celicia. I mean, when did you have this realization that you were addicted to toxic relationships?
Honestly, the realization that I was actually addicted was when I was pregnant with my son. Before, I really thought I was like it was normal. I thought a lot of it was normal because it was what I saw and it was what I was taught. And then when I was pregnant with my son, it was just like the biggest slap, reality slap to my face that woke me up like, this is not normal. This is painful. And okay, so initially I thought that I realized that I was addicted to toxic relationships, right? But then I had a deeper understanding when I was, and I thought that I was, and I have dealt with those wounds. So I don't know how many of you in the chat room just write in if you can relate to this. You feel like you got over something, but then you realize that you got yourself back in the same situation that you thought you was over. And that to me was like the big hang up. Like, how? I'm so much better and smarter and wiser. How did I end up here? But then I realized that healing is in layers. So you're going to have to, just as deep as that wound. So the wound of toxic relationship is so deep within my DNA. And I'm going to say DNA because I know that our healing is beyond us. It's also our grandparents. It's also the future. So the healing when it comes to toxic relationships within my DNA is so heavy that I'm going to continue to peel off the layers of it until I've gotten down to the core. So I can say that maybe when I was 25, I started opening up to the fact that, okay, these people that I'm choosing aren't healthy. And remember, realize I said I am choosing. I'm not blaming nobody. It's at the end of the day, it's me. But these people that I'm choosing is my reality. But so I can say that the layer started peeling back at 25. But the final, like, damn, I got it now, was when I was pregnant with my son. And I think it was because I am an empath, and because I do feel good. I feel good when I'm loving people. The fact that now I have somebody else to think about and to love more than myself, even though, that's kind of unhealthy too, but you get what I'm saying. Um, that gave me a whole new insight to where now I have to be better for somebody else. And so there is no turning back. And the slap that I got from that was literally, I felt like, was the core and the final piece of breaking my addiction.
Well, amen to that. I mean, that you were actually able to do it. We're still relatively young, and a lot of people go their whole lives without breaking this addiction. They don't. I mean, they go their whole lives just by suffering and just doing the same things over and over again without any type of growth. And you were able, a lot of people, everybody in the chat when we're saying that they was like, definitely can relate. Yes, I have. Absolutely, pain and healing comes in waves. As Hopkins says, honestly, I've seen toxic families throughout my family, so it did
Mm-hmm.
become my norm. I'm trying to break that now, and that's the biggest thing, is just trying to break
Yeah.
it. You see the patterns, and you have an understanding or like epiphany of what you want and the kind of
Mm-hmm.
life you want for yourself and for your kids and your grandkids. So like, you have this understanding of what needs to happen, and you're working towards it. And again, I really do. That's one of the only good things I can say came from social media. We make
Mm-hmm.
these connections, because I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met more than 90% of people that have been involved with the Let's Talk It Out platform, or helping with the growth of it, or anything, if it wasn't for social media. There are some great people that you can meet. If it's a tool, and if you use it correctly, it can help lead you towards healing. I wouldn't have learned about the books I've learned about. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's a lot of things that wouldn't have happened for me if it wasn't for, I guess the energy I put out came back to me.
Yeah.
So that's good for me, I guess. I mean, hopefully everybody else is putting out good energy and not bad girls club energy. But anyway, moving on. So I'm gonna ask you another question about the book. Whew. Because I'm sitting here looking at it, see, I wanted to ask you about this whole self love movement for 2020 that we're on.
Uh-huh.
So you said something that's very important earlier that has something to do for me, like with people that are battling depression. Being
Mm-hmm.
involved, going out there and vibrating, being out there and becoming one with nature is huge. Like always, most therapists would tell you that, going for walks, or, going to a body of water and just taking some deep breaths and relaxing and just getting back connected with your environment is a big part of,
Mm-hmm.
of breaking the depression symptoms. But I want to ask you, what are some ways that you practice self love?
Honestly, one of the biggest ways that I practice self love is I remove anything that's not a reflection of that from my circle. So my friendships. Um, I say every morning I'm surrounded by people who invest in me spiritually, financially, and emotionally. Um, so basically, I'm surrounded by people who fuel me, because the people that you surround yourself with is a reflection of you. And if you're surrounding yourself, and it's a reflection of your self love too. So I I make sure that my circle is filled with people who are fueling, because I also know that I'm a fueling person. I give energy and life into my friendships too. And back then, as an empath, anybody that want to be your friend, want to be my friend, sure, sure. Want to be my girlfriend, yeah. Like, you don't really have, if you don't have any boundaries, then you just letting everything in. So I practice healthy boundaries and actually implementing them. And a lot of times we have to realize our boundaries are our boundaries, not other people's. So people are like, but what if I piss somebody off? If I start telling them no for this and that, it's like, what they got to do with you? Like, those are your boundaries. You have to maintain them. So I keep a clean circle. I also read a lot of books. I indulge in information that's going to teach me more. I always think about how much I don't know, and I try to know more because I feel like there's so much information out there. That is something that social media, YouTube, just the internet provides to us, is information. I read books. That's why I'm a part of the book club, because every single book that we're reading, to me, is geared towards more knowledge and more healing and more self-love. And even if you do know things, sometimes it goes through one ear and out the other, but just the habit of it, it's gonna make things stick. It's gonna be embedded into your subconscious mind. I try to practice healthy eating. I was a vegan up until my pregnancy, and then I became a vegetarian, pescatarian, because I eat seafood. But I try to practice healthy eating. I try to practice staying away from specific chemicals, like relaxing my hair. I stopped doing that. I stopped putting. It's just certain things I just stopped putting in me. The question that I try to practice is, how can I love myself a little bit more each day? And whenever I see it's a situation that is not loving, I try to pull myself away from that. I also honor my feelings. If it feels off to you, like, you don't even have to figure out, you don't even have to have the words to put it together. If it feels off, it's off. Like, trust yourself. I try to trust my intuition and my gut. A lot of times we get burned because we don't. And we have been taught through social media, through our friends, through what we see on TV, to second guess ourselves and our emotions. And then now we don't even know what our emotions are really telling us, or our intuition is really pointing the direction our intuition is pointing to. But you really have to trust your gut without even having your mind set on why exactly is it trying to protect you. So those are the things that I try to make my practice.
Amen to that. We had some great comments in the chat room. Uh, you gotta go within for yourself and really get into it. Nobody around influences how I love me by vibes. B Lift Show says, my experience with a toxic relationship began to affect me physically. The deep roots of the toxicity can literally make you physically sick. For me, healing, reforming my mind, facing my personal dysfunction helped me yield and surrender to who God made me to be, taking the time to be made whole so you can identify wholeness.
Okay, can we stop right there before you read? Because she said something really, really important. The experience of the toxic relationship affected her physically. And going back to the energy levels, when you're living in level 1 and level 2, your body is experiencing catabolic energy, which is when your cells are being broken down. And when you get past that, that's when you start experiencing. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they hold different levels of anabolic energy, which is when your body is building up. So when you're living in toxic relationships, it is physically killing you because your cells are breaking down, putting your body in dis-ease, opening it up for disease.
All right, thanks for that little rhyming moment there at the end. That little anecdote. XOXO Vibe said, learning is my favorite thing to do. Eternal. S. Hopkins says, reading, listening to podcasts like this. This podcast is okay sometimes. I mean, every now and then it's a good episode. Being able to self-reflect is so important. Everybody's agreeing with my mom. EJ4212 says, laugh out loud. Why do we care about people that don't care about us? Let them go. Yeah. Absolutely. And I wanted to I'm gonna go ahead and do something that's non-conventional. I do this all the time. I'm scrapping my show flow because I want to go in a different direction, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
So I like organic conversations. They sound the best when you listen back to them. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this word. It's identified as a psychological defense mechanism. It's a very popular word. Sometimes people throw it around to other people based off how they're treating them. And the word I want to talk to you about is projection. Projection. Everyone in listening to this podcast has heard that word before, right? But they're probably not going to hear it in the way that we break it down. Obviously, when people are projecting to you, a lot of times with this day and age, they associate it with someone just being angry. Well, there could be something more than just anger going on with somebody when they're projecting. They could be, they say anger is a secondary emotion. They could be hurt. They could be sad. They could be scared. their self esteem could be low, and they want you to, feel diminished, like how they feel. A lot of things could
Yeah.
be happening for someone when they are projecting, and it seems
Yeah.
like, I mean, we talked off the air. It
Mm-hmm.
seems like in the last couple of weeks, I've had a few people project at me. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
it's been kind of weird. It's like I'm like, huh, where did that come from?
Yeah.
For me being who I am today, I don't hold on to anger and I don't hold on to resentment. In the past, I probably would have snapped off at them, but
Mm-hmm.
where I'm at now, I just I accepted it and I was like, oh, okay, and I moved on from it because obviously they are hurting and they are trying
Mm-hmm.
to find somebody. They're trying to hurt me, because they're hurting.
Yeah.
And you was telling me how you had a situation where someone's upset with you and they tried to, start talking to you. I guess because they and from what it seemed like, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and let's. I don't want to just take over my podcast. That's rude. You are the guest. Uh,
Go ahead.
you are the guest. So I want to ask you, Celicia, when you think about the word projection, can you give me some examples of when you felt like someone was projecting at you, or the reason for it?
I could just more so talk about the reason. I hate dwelling in the problem, and I like to look at the understanding part of it and the forward action, which is why I'm a coach, because coaches are all about moving forward. And I really hate dwelling in the problems, because there could be many reasons why people project, right? I think when you understand, and you're able to love, and then you're able to heal, because now you can take whatever they're experiencing, empathize with them, sympathize with them, and be able to love them, and love them the right way, and then the going forward. So a lot, like I said, we're energy. So when we are moving, say someone is vibrating at level 1 energy in the blame, and then you have this other person that's at level 5 that's like, nah, girl, don't you see the opportunity in this situation? Come on. And that person really just can't see it. That's because that leap from 1 to 5 is just so big that they just can't get there. So you're going to need to bring them from 1 to 2, then 2 to 3, and then so on and so forth, until they can get that. That's why motivation doesn't work for everyone, because not everyone can be motivated. Motivation is such a far stretch for some people. So now when people are projecting, it's basically that's happening on a spiritual level. So somebody did something that's making stuff come up for them that they have not quite faced yet. So the best way they can, their defense mechanism that their body is kicking in, is like, protect me. What's going on? I'm under attack. Is to throw it away at somebody else and deflect it, because they have not been in a place where they can stomach that. Does that
Uh,
make sense?
That makes perfect sense to me. Hopefully, it makes sense to the chat room.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for everybody, but XO Vibe said, depending on the scenario, but projection, especially for narcissists, is addictive as fuck. They need something to feed their ego. I think, from my own perspective, you got something to say, C.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the only time projection is acceptable is if it's an infant that's projecting on you because they were upset that they used the bathroom on themselves, or they're hungry and they're tired, so they yell and start acting irate, because that's the only way they can communicate. They can't
Mm-hmm.
effectively tell you what's going on with them. Now, as adults, you should be able to effectively communicate. You shouldn't project on someone as an adult. As a child, or as an infant, I should say, that's the only way you can communicate to get their attention. But go ahead.
Yeah, but projection is a subconscious thing. It's not like people are doing it like, oh, I'm about to project right now. Like, they don't know consciously. They don't know what's going on. It's coming from there. It's an action through their subconscious mind, which about 80 to 90% of what we do is subconscious. Which is why watching the TV shows and looking at the reality show, thinking that you're consciously feeding, throwing in, and tossing away stuff that you feel is just funny. It's not, because it's feeding your subconscious mind. So when it comes to projection, like, I'm sorry, I know I shouldn't be looking at the comments, but I did see XOXO talk about the narcissist. They project, and it's an addiction. And it's because narcissists are unable to self reflect. because it causes them too much pain, shame, actually, shame to look at themselves because they were created in shame, in deep shame. So it's kind of like an attack. Like I said, our bodies are designed to protect ourselves. Our minds are designed to protect ourselves. So whenever they feel like they're under attack, it's bringing them back to their deep place of shame where they were created. And so their defense mechanism is to deflect. So they are never able to see themselves, which is why there's really no such thing as a narcissist recovering. So their soul, their inner self, their intuition is all gone. It's only fed by other people. But because they know that, or they feel as if they aren't worthy to gain, like they were developing shame, so they feel like they're not worthy of love and they're not worthy of anything good. Even though it's interesting because most of them are successful and they are in high places, but that's because they feel that being themselves is not going to get them there, so they have to go about it in manipulative ways. So projection is also just a defense mechanism because they can't face the deep shame that they have within themselves.
It's so funny that you dove right into defense mechanisms, and it's true that most of our brain function is not like 70% of our brain function is not us. You know, we're not in control of it. Like, you know, even right now, people typing, you know, they're not really thinking about what letters they're pressing. They're not thinking about the breathing they're doing. They're not thinking about the blinking that they're doing. The fact that their muscles are holding them in the chair that they're sitting in the right way. It's all subconscious, right? So, I mean, I did have an exercise I want to do tonight. People are probably going to have to look back at it, you know, but I want people just to give you guys an idea of how sometimes your brain likes to like hide these emotions or hide these memories. I'm gonna I have a list of things that I want to give out to you guys, and you don't have to do it now. When you guys listen back to the podcast, if it's your first time listening to the podcast, you know, get a piece of paper and a pen, and you know, write down a list of 10. I'm gonna give you 10 things, and I want you to, you know, write down the first memory that comes to mind with these 10 things. So the first thing I'm going to give you guys, like, and these are our list. This list focuses on negative or painful feelings on purpose, because these can have a negative effects on your personality today. So first thing I want you to write down, the first memory is a time when you were highly agitated and full of apprehension. Right? That's number one. Number two, I want you to write down a time when you were agonizingly alone. Okay? Number three, sexually frustrated. Number four, almost unbearably needy. Okay? Number five, powerfully angry. Number six, sad with a deep sense of loss. Number seven, full of hatred. Number 9, ashamed or humiliated. And number 10, painfully envious. I already have my list written down already. So, again, highly agitated and full of apprehension, agonizingly alone, sexually frustrated, almost unbearably needy, powerfully angry, sad with a deep sense of loss, full of hatred, ashamed or humiliated, and painfully envious, right? And if you can't think of an instance for that, like not even one single instance to illustrate one of these feelings, you need to make note of that, because that might be a defense mechanism at work if you can't think of one of those, because we all experience one of those at one point in our life. So, and then and the reason why I want you guys to do this is, like, I want you to, you know, because these feelings that you're feeling when you're writing these can have effect on who you are today and how you interact with people today. Right, they could affect how you know, say someone says something that and he pisses you off, and then you look back like, why did I get so mad? It could have came from one of these memories. You know, it could have been your brain subconsciously, and it goes to supercomputer mode sometimes. Our brains are the most powerful computers in the world, right? So they go on autopilot. Again, that's what Celicia said. I agree with her, because it's 100% true that your subconscious has more powerful brain functioning once you're aware of what you're doing. You know, you go on autopilot mode. Right, so times where you were powerfully angry in the past, I mean, it's just my auntie talking about some just one time with the laughing emojis. But I want you guys to understand you feel these feelings, and just so you could be aware of when this happens and why you feel this way. I want you guys to heal. I mean, I will continue on and go elaborate on this further in the next few podcasts, but I just want to get that out there. Just have you guys write that down so you can have something to look at. And I pray and I hope that this brought back memories that you don't want to remember, because you need to heal from them. You don't need to suppress them.
Yeah, but you were saying if you can't think of a time, a lot of times when we have experienced trauma, we we block those out. And so some people can't go back and remember those times. And I think if that is something that came up for any of you, then you probably just gotta have to sit with that question a little bit longer, because
Man,
your
being
defense mechanism is
I,
protecting you.
I ain't gonna lie, man. Being sexually frustrated is traumatizing. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, EJ4312 said I got plenty of examples for the list. Good. XOXO Vibe says it's a good show. I can't wait to read your book, Celicia. So we
Oh,
are at
thank
the
you.
45-minute mark. Me and Celicia could probably talk for another 3 hours, but we're not going to. I'm going to ask her if she has any last words of advice she wants to leave you guys with before we get out of here.
I do see XOXO asks, do I have any empathy for narcissists? And that's a good way to end, because you kind of feel sorry for them. You kind of feel sorry for them once you've gotten to your place of healing and when you're no longer the victim. And because they are people who are hurt just like everyone else. Like I feel all of us are hurt in our own way, which has caused us to be who we are as adults. And so when you can get in tune with your own hurt and realize that everyone is hurting, then you don't take the hurt that other people are placing on you personally. So you can take a step back and just send them from a place where you know that that's what they needed and they couldn't get it for themselves. So yeah, my book is here. My book is out. It's on Amazon. If you type in my name, Celicia Shand, you can find me, or you can also follow me on Instagram, which is at continued_expansion. And that's usually where I do a lot of my videos and stuff like that. So if you follow me on Facebook, the best place to follow me is on IG.
Celicia isn't going anywhere. Everybody, she's a part of the platform. So everybody's saying thank you for coming on. It was a good show. It's not like I'm about to just give her a one way ticket. And be like, all right, well, we had a good run. See you. Uh, she's gonna be around. So
Yeah.
everybody's saying it was a great show. They're saying they need to hear this. And yeah, I mean, guys, it was great. It was great being back. It was great being live. I mean, it's been a while. Everybody said thanks for the live chat. I might consider making this a little bit more of a regular thing. The addiction shows are on Mondays at 6. I might see if Bonnie would be willing to push it back to like maybe 7 or 8 and just go live every now and then. Not every week, but maybe every other week, or
Hmm.
maybe I could do every other week, do a live show. Who knows, man? Who knows how I feel? I'll let you guys know. But I really did appreciate you guys that are in the live chat room. If you're listening back to the podcast, I really do appreciate you for even being subscribed and listening back. I mean, if you have questions you want to feed about addictions, you can feed them. Message me, send them wherever. I'm available. Obviously, I'm going to have her link to her book probably inside the details of this episode. So again, you guys, thank you for tuning in. I look forward to talking to you guys in the future.